So let's say I have like I have a line that's moving from here to here. I want this line to go in this direction here. The way I can do it, and I'll do it like from scratch with you guys. So let's say I wanna move my shape to there. One thing that we saw that is important to do in moving shapes is to decide which part's gonna lead the movement. So let's imagine that this line has like two parts, right? Like there's this part and there's this part. And then the part that's gonna be leading the movement is this part. So I'm gonna be leading the movement with this part, and I'm gonna drag my other part here. So like I was saying, that's again like drag, an S curve, and a nice overlap, which has like drag and a part that is leading the movement. And I'm just gonna keep going with the movement, kind of like describing an S curve. And we saw that, right? And the the new thing that I want you guys to notice for this class now, the class has this principle called like breaking of joints, and we're gonna see how we can imply joints on this wave curve. So I talk a lot about energy, you guys noticed, and so at this point, if the shape's going this way, that means that like there's a lot of momentum being built here. So the energy and the inertia would like kind of still keep going here, right? When a line or a shape later have that like enough momentum going on in one direction, that's the moment where you have the possibility to start like breaking the joint, which means if everything's going this direction, and because there's enough energy here, I'm gonna start from the bottom to break my joint in this direction, and that's what's gonna give you my S curve. So I wasn't talking in terms of like breaking the joints before, and now that's the terms I'm using, and you're gonna see later on why. So yeah, momentum keeps going here, right? The inertia is your overlap, so it goes. And now what's leading the movement is this part, and then the part keeps going like here, and then it keeps overlapping. So the momentum is being built here now, to the point that like around here, you have now your inverted C, and there's like full momentum here now. So the momentum was going there, and now it's going here. So animation, it's about um, working out how you transfer that energy, and like seeing where this momentum is going and where it's going towards and where it's coming from. That's key to transfer that energy, and that's what keeps your character movement. And the S curve is that shape that represents that energy going from left to right or from up to down. It's that moment where the energy flows from one place to another. That's why it's so fluid and it conveys like so much movement. So momentum here starts leading the movement here because there's already enough inertia here for this part of the shape to keep going by itself, basically. So now I start leading the movement here, and I'm back on my full C curve, and then I'm gonna keep with my C curve here and kind of go back to this. So that's a shape moving the energy along its path. Does that make sense? So what's gonna be new in this, and not really new because we saw that a little bit before, is that you can use this now to start bringing your joints and bones. So like I was saying, like the straight ahead pass, the pass that you do as you start. That's a place you want to be in your straight ahead pass. That's your straight ahead pass about the energy. Remember that those like three drawings that we saw from Eric Goldberg. Like first it's about the energy, and then you put your anatomy on top of that, energy pass, and then you have like a character full of energy and full of structure. So that's the place you want to be for your straight ahead pass. And once you've done that, then you can start considering your character structure. So let's say I'm gonna consider my arm for the character here, and I'm gonna give it special attention now to like where those joints are. So that's not a rig. That's not a thing that needs to stay there uh, forever. Those are like bouncing balls that I will use to describe smooth and precise arcs. Arcs are like super important to do when you're trying to convey like a super smooth movement. So okay, my arm is starting to go up, and I'm not gonna bend my arm because there's bones inside it. That's the biggest difference from your wave line to now your structure pass. See the pink line underneath it? I'm gonna use this to follow like this my wrist ball. Oh, there you go. You see that? Oh, I missed it. Oh, no, it's that. Yeah, and then I'm following with my hand here. And the thing about dragging is that you should always like point whatever you're dragging to the point that it was before, and that's that the wave line gives you that direction, but it doesn't necessarily give you structure. So again, momentum being built here. You see like the arc that I'm describing here, right? And this arc as well for the wrist, and that's for the elbow. Okay, so my arm's like here now. And at that moment, like you saw, like we were seeing with the with the with the wave line underneath, there's already enough momentum being built here, so I can start like breaking my joint here. So now my arm's gonna start breaking the joint, so my wrist's gonna start like going back. Right? You see that my wrist is going back here. Meanwhile, my arm is gonna like keep going that way. And I'm gonna keep dragging my hand. And again, my wrist. You see that I'm using the line underneath as a guide to like what's happening, but not necessarily as a guide to like trace it or like you see how different really it is, right? I'm not like drawing on top of the line because now I'm considering like what's the size, what's the mass of my forearm, for instance. And then at this point I have like full inverted C, and I can really be dragging my hand here. And then this one arrived at the last position, and this one it's kind of like almost there. and then it hits here. And when it hits here, we saw, let's just do that. When it hits here, we saw that a good way to stop a movement that it comes full of energy is to do a bit of an overshoot, which I'm gonna do on a kind of like cheating way, but still, it's the idea that the pose is going a little bit beyond its last position and then it's coming back. So that's my arm, bang. And I did that based on that shape, which has momentum being built and then energy being transferred and then energy going the other way.